So, it's year-end list season, still. And while I'm sure you've really enjoyed yourselves gushing over our lists of the best wrestlers, the greatest pay-per-views, the best feuds, and everything else in between, I think it's about time you and me had a nice little chat about the thing that really matters in this goofy little sport, the one aspect that keeps us glued to the screen even when Raw seems like the biggest pile of crap in the business, a light in the dark, the one thing that gives us hope when everything else seems glum and miserable and sad and glum and miserable and piss. Weddings. I'm talking about weddings. Cast your mind back, if you will, to early 2018 when, upon reporting that John Cena and Nikki Bella had split up, I posed the question, is love a work? Well, not if these guys are anything to go by. A number of wrestling relationships were cemented by holy matrimony last year, so let's dive into them. I'm Andy from WhatCulture.com, aka The Cold Soldier, and here are 6 WWE superstars who got married in 2018. Number 6, Bianca Belair and Montez Ford. You'd think Bianca Belair would have been too busy becoming one of the hottest prospects in all of WWE last year to have time for things like, marriage, but her and longtime partner Montez Ford, who you'll know from the Street Profits, ended up tying the knot in June, having been together for much longer than that. In fact, they were actually dating before either of them had even signed with WWE. It turns out that Ford actually popped the big question back in June 2017, so the company were engaged for a full year before finally tying the knot. Looking at the Instagram post the couple posted around about the time of the wedding, they looked absolutely smitten, and honestly, it's just kind of nice to see a couple of cool, likeable performers enjoying their lives together while the romance blossoms along with that of their careers. That was really cheesy, but don't really care, I'm not a vegan. Number 5, Cedric Alexander. Exactly 5 nights after Montez Ford and Bianca Belair celebrated their marriage on the 23rd of June, then WWE Cruiserweight Champion Cedric Alexander was continuing the trend as he and independent wrestler Arielle Monroe officially tied the knot in a big old ceremony. Now, if you recognise Monroe's name, there's a good chance it was from the 2018 Mae Young Classic tournament. She was involved in that, but she was defeated in the first round by Puerto Rican wrestler Zeuxis. Pardon my undoubtedly awful pronunciation, I was educated in Scotland after all. That was in the very first round, but let's hope she's still in the company's radar. She's a great wrestler, and it'd be cool to see her join Cedric on the roster. According to Monroe in an interview with AfterBuzz TV, she and Cedric actually met on a road trip well over 6 years ago. They have a daughter together, and they are, of course, very, very happy. That's the main thing, and long may it continue. Number 4, Lio Rush. The most annoying man on WWE Raw he may be, but Lio Rush is apparently a lot more tolerable in real life, because him and partner Sarah Green were wedded in December 2018. And if the wedding photos are anything to go by, it doesn't look like the couple spared any expense at all, with them posing in front of what I think is a Porsche. I don't know, could well be bloody Brum for all I know about cars. Now, this marriage did make a number of big headlines a few weeks ago, but not because Lio had wed the woman he calls his best friend and the love of his life. No, this was entirely more bizarre. Apparently, Lio was driving around Las Vegas after getting hitched. He saw D'Lo Brown of all the bloody people in the world. He stopped for a selfie, told him he had a mean frog splash, and D'Lo returned the compliment. Not bad, D'Lo is a former European champion after all, but let's be honest, I'd be a tad more impressed if it was a real legend like, I don't know, Gangrel. Number 3, Ember Moon. Now here's where the ceremonies get really interesting, and I mean no disrespect to the ones we've already spoken about. I'm sure they were lovely and everyone had a great time, something they'll all remember for the rest of their lives, but our next two pulled out all the stops with the gimmicks. Here we have Raw superstar Ember Moon, who married partner Matthew Palmer in what looks like a Game of Thrones cosplay thingamabob, which fortunately went a whole lot better than the Red Wedding, or that time King Joffrey got his dumbass poisoned by a pie, or, just about any Game of Thrones wedding for that matter. Now, this Palmer fella is a pretty interesting guy. A few weeks ago on Raw, when Moon was set to face Nia Jax in a tag match, he actually tweeted out, and I quote, "Hope this unsafe moron doesn't hurt my wife again." That's one way to show support, but apparently this guy also cuts around the independent scenes. He's an indie wrestler, by the way, wearing a t-shirt saying, and I quote again, "King of Black Woman." Not very PC that, mate. Number 2, Sarah Logan and Raymond Rowe. Speaking of themed weddings, Riot Squad member Sarah Logan and War Raiders beast Raymond Rowe, my brother in baldness, tied the knot just 4 days before Christmas. They were married in a Viking-themed ceremony on December 21st, and it just kinda looked absolutely class, to be honest with you. The two wrestlers exchanged vows outside, and they, along with their guests, were all in fancy dress, and there was even a massive Viking horn to add to the atmosphere. Everyone who attended was absolutely gushing about it on social media afterwards, and the duo, who'd been dating for several years before getting hitched, almost certainly had the best time of all. Now, given that these two are generally considered two of the absolute nicest and most genuine people in all of pro wrestling, it's extremely easy to feel good about them and indeed their big day. And at number 1, Selena Vega and Aleister Black. Short of Lana and bloody Otis Dozovic hooking up, I cannot think of a more random WWE couple. This one came completely out of the blue back in November. It was announced quietly that Selena Vega and Aleister Black had tied the knot with minimal song and dance, and not even the merest of suggestions that they were even dating in the build-up. And you know what? Fair place to them for being real G's and moving in silence like lasagna. Now, they deserve great credit for keeping this whole thing under wraps in an age where social media makes it almost impossible for celebrities to keep any kind of secret. And it's even better that the relationship is apparently a lot more fruitful off the scene than it is on, as if you remember correctly, cast your minds back to the Aleister Black-Andrade Almas feud, when Zelina made a habit of slapping the absolute piss out of Black on NXT TV. Either way, it's just good to see that Vega has left that cringeworthy dwarf Austin Aries in the dust and has now found solace with WWE's hardest goth. So that's our list, but what do you guys think? Is love a work? Does it actually exist? And why, oh why, were none of these weddings as weird as Dawn Marie and Al Wilson? Have a bash of that in the comment section. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, etc, etc, etc. I've been Andy, and I'll see you later.